Do you think that the presence of the media also hampers debate or hampers arriving at a consensus? Because some people will say that, having the media there helps, shed light, maybe put the people there on their toes in terms of what are Nigerians, what are the expectations and what is it that they're doing there? And some people also say that, well, that also hampers some people from, really saying where it is they truly stand. What is your take on that?
I believe it's good and bad for the media to be there. Good in the sense that there has to be transparency. People need to see what is going on. Now, the other part is that there's some very, very sensitive matters that, maybe the media should not cover live. And at that particular time, it's better for the delegates to have a closed-door session and then after that come out and brief the media that this is what we agreed. Of course, they don't have to come out and say, oh, Mr. A called down on a madman, Mr. Y called down on an insane man. No, they just say, well, after lengthy deliberations, we have agreed that this matter will be resolved in this manner.
Let's even look at this school of thought again. You touched on it briefly, which Anke Brace mentioned, about if a state doesn't want state police. I mean, can it happen that other states will have it and some states don't?
It's very possible. Very, very, very possible. Because you look, like a state like Lagos has been canvassing for state police for decades, ever since we've had the APC and its predecessor. They've been canvassing for state police. Some states have never said a word about it. They're just okay with the status quo. Now, so if those people in those states, and you have to remember, it's by choice. You don't force it down on anybody. If they don't want it, they don't want it.
Is that what true federalism is about?
I believe so. It's also democracy.
But isn't it what we say in our Constitution? Isn't that what it's supposed to be? But, I mean, from what a lot of lawyers say, but you can even tell us now, but that doesn't seem to be what we're practicing, is it?
For
instance, now, I mean, if the law says that the states should have powers to do certain things, and few things left to the center, for instance, even this police matter, but we don't see that happening now.
Well, the Constitution is there to a large extent now. We are, except, you talk about individual exceptions, the Constitution is being followed. And when or once a breach occurs, people go to court. So people can go to court and say, for example, the federal government is not supposed to, or NNPC is not supposed to, take from the federation account at source without first remitting it into the federation account. So those are breaches. So states, that's why you see states even take up the federal government that, no, you can't do this, that, no, you have to, remit VAT to us in this proportion. So it's not perfect, but the Constitution largely is there. Now, what the process that is on now is we have seen that there's so many things wrong with our current state of governance. We want to correct it. And that's what the discussion is on about. It definitely will involve tinkering with the Constitution. Because right now, there's no provision for any state that wants to say, I want my own state police, to create it. There's no way.
But have we always had a centralized police system? Because I think it was during the military era where everything was now concentrated in the center. The shots were called from there. Before then, it wasn't this way.
Yes, if my memory serves me right, I'm not so sure. I think during the First Republic, the powers were regionalized. Each region had its own. But with the advent of the military came centralization, concentrating, because that's the nature of the military. It's centralized. They have one, what do you call it? Chief, commander-in-chief. So everything must start and end with him. So when the military took over, they also brought that system. They preferred that system in governing the country, that power resides at the center and then devolves down onto the states.
Now, one of the things that also came to the fore when you're talking about the media is there's also been the fear that, if certain things are discussed, possibly not in public, there could be a group of people who a lot of people feel might dominate the session and ram their decisions down the throats of others. Do you see this also happening at this conference?
Definitely it's going to happen because...
It's going to happen.
Yes, it's going to happen because, look, when people sit down in a group, some people are definitely going to be able to exert more influence than others. It's a law of nature.
How does that happen?
Well, it's a law of nature. We met it like that. All over the world, America and a group of countries, maybe about 7 of them, have more influence than the entire rest of the world combined.
So what you see...
To get back to that question of dominance or marginalization.
Yes.
So how do we overcome that?
That's what I said. You see, even if you're the dominant power...
And it's not a... Sorry, just as you're answering, it's not a question of numbers.
It's definitely not a question of numbers. You have we used to have 2 superpowers. Mm-hmm. If now we say, okay, Russia is still a superpower, we have 2 superpowers. The influence they exert over the rest of the world, there are maybe, God knows, I don't know the number of other countries we have in the world, but these 2 countries, or maybe let's say 7, 8 countries, they exert far more influence than all the other nations of the world put together. So you must also expect that at your national level. Some group of people, for example, people have always been saying, I don't know, that there is a cabal who always decides who rules the country. Mm-hmm. So it's largely not down to my choice or your choice or his choice. So these people sit and they allocate it. Like, who's going to be the next governor in a state, for example? Do we really think it's the people or just a select few who says, oh, it's Chamberlain that will run for governor?
You know, I'm just a little curious as to...
Yeah, well, I think the
we're
curiosity will kill the cat.
Time.
Time is not our friend.
Thankfully, this cat is not dead.
She'll
leave to ask more questions.
We have to thank you for coming on. Moyosore Onigbanjo is the senior advocate of Nigeria. We've been looking at somebody, suggestions, comments coming through about the ongoing national conference. We'll be back after this break. Join us again.